There are Hollywood success stories, and then there is Sylvester Stallone, the man who sold his dog for $40 just to eat, slept in a bus station for 3 weeks, and was told he was only suited to run a sorting machine or to be an assistant electrician. Yet, this same man would go on to write one of the greatest screenplays in cinema history in just 3.5 days. And he refused to sell it unless he could star in it himself, and created a character so iconic that a statue of Rocky Balboa now stands permanently in Philadelphia. Stay with us as we walk you through the story of how a broke homeless actor with $106 in his bank account became one of the biggest movie stars in the world, earning over $7.5 billion at the global box office, and becoming one of only 2 actors in history to star in #1 films across 6 consecutive decades. On July 6, 1946, in a charity hospital in Hell's Kitchen, New York City, a baby boy was born who would carry the scars of his birth for life. Complications during delivery forced obstetricians to use 2 pairs of forceps to pull Sylvester Stallone out. In the process, they accidentally severed a nerve on the left side of his face. The result was permanent paralysis of the lower left side of his face, including parts of his lip, tongue, and chin. This gave young Sylvester a distinctive snarling expression and slurred speech that would later become his trademark. But first, it would make him a target for relentless bullying. His parents, Frank Stallone Sr., an Italian immigrant hairdresser, and Jackie Stallone, an astrologer and former dancer, had a volatile marriage. Sylvester spent his first 5 years bouncing between foster homes. When he was 11, his parents divorced, and he was caught in the middle of a bitter split. His facial paralysis made school a nightmare. Other children mocked his drooping lip and slurred speech. A guidance counselor once told his mother, "Your son is suited to run a sorting machine or to be an assistant electrician," primarily in the area of elevator operations. Stallone was expelled from multiple schools for fighting. He attended Notre Dame Academy, Abraham Lincoln High School in Philadelphia, and Charlotte Hall Military Academy in Maryland, a school for the troubled youth. At age 15, his classmates voted him most likely to end up in the electric chair. But something inside young Sylvester refused to accept the limitations others placed on him. He found escape in movies, watching larger-than-life characters on screen and dreaming that somehow he could become one of them. After bouncing through schools, Stallone studied drama at the American College of Switzerland from 1965 to 1967, then enrolled as a drama major at the University of Miami. He dropped out in 1969, just credits short of graduation. Unable to wait any longer to chase his Hollywood dreams, he wouldn't receive his Bachelor of Fine Arts degree until 1998, when the university accepted his acting and life experiences in place of his remaining credits. In 1969, at age 23, Stallone moved to New York City with dreams of acting. He had no money, no connections, and a face that casting directors found hard to even look at. Until 1969, he performed as Mike Stallone. In 1970, he started using Sylvester E. Stallone. The rejection was brutal. He auditioned for everything, even trying to be an extra in The Godfather in 1972. "I couldn't even get cast as an Italian," Stallone recalled. "I said if it was one thing and one movie I can definitely get into, it would be The Godfather. I couldn't get in. I couldn't even get in as an extra." And to survive, Stallone worked as a movie theater usher, cleaned lion cages at the Central Park Zoo, and did manual labor. He even sold his wife jewelry for food. In 1970, at his absolute lowest, Stallone starred in a softcore pornographic film called The Party at Kitty and Studs for $200. He had been evicted and slept for 3 weeks in the New York City Port Authority bus station. It was either do that movie or rob someone. He explained, "Because I was at the end, the very end of my rope." Throughout all of this, Stallone had one companion who never judged him, a bull mastiff puppy he got in 1969 named big.His, named after Dick Butkus, the fierce Chicago Bears linebacker. He was a ferocious-looking little devil, Stallone remembered. And when he ate his security blanket, we decided to name him after Dick Butkus. For years, big.His was Stallone's only friend. They lived together in a tiny apartment above a subway stop with hot and cold running roaches. Stallone said we were both thin, hungry, and living in a flop house. And since I never went out, I relied on his companionship. By 1975, things got worse. Stallone was 28, married to his first wife, Sasha Shazak, in December 28, 1974, and was utterly broke. He landed small roles in Bananas 1971, Clute 1971, and The Lars of Flatbush 1974. But nothing ever really paid enough. He was down to his last dollar. He couldn't feed himself, let alone a 140-pound bull mastiff. Facing the hardest decision of his life, Stallone stood outside a 7-Eleven with big.His and a sign that said $100. A man named Little Jimmy approached, and after negotiating, Stallone sold big.His for $40. And he walked away crying because he just sold his best friend just to buy food. It was March 1975 and Sylvester Stallone had hit rock bottom. 2 weeks after selling big.His, on March 24, 1975, Stallone watched a boxing match that would change his life forever. Heavyweight champion Muhammad Ali was defending his title against Chuck Wepner, a 36-year-old journeyman boxer from New Jersey known as the Bayonne Bleeder. Nobody gave Wepner a chance. He was expected to last maybe 3 rounds. But something incredible happened. Wepner refused to go down. Round after round, he absorbed punishment from the greatest boxer alive. In the 9th round, Wepner knocked Muhammad Ali down, and the crowd went insane. Ali would eventually knock Wepner out in the 15th and final round, just 19 seconds before going the distance. But Wepner had proven something profound. An underdog could stand toe-to-toe with greatness and earn dignity through courage and refusal to quit. Stallone described the moment Chuck Wepner, a battling, bruising club fighter who had never made the big time, was finally having his shot. And as the fight progressed, the miracle unfolded. He hung in there, people went absolute crazy, and that night, Rocky Balboa was born. Stallone rushed home and sat at his typewriter for 3.5 days, working approximately 20 hours at a stretch. And Stallone poured his soul into every single page. Rejections, every humiliation, every moment of desperation went into the script. And the result was a 90-page play titled Rocky. The script told the story of Rocky Balboa, a small-time club fighter from Philadelphia who gets an unlikely shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. And like Stallone, Rocky was dismissed by society and given no chance of success. But like Wepner, Rocky would prove that dignity came from refusing to quit. Stallone submitted the script to the producers. Several were interested, but they all wanted a bankable star like Ryan O'Neal, Burt Reynolds, or James Cain. One studio reportedly offered Stallone $360,000 for the script. It was a fortune for a man living on the street if he would not star in it. Stallone refused. He had already sold his dog, he sold his pride, but he would not sell Rocky, not Rocky Balboa. This character, I understood, he said. Producers Robert Chardoff and Erwin Winkler liked the script but were hesitant about an unknown actor, and the negotiations went back and forth. Stallone held firm. He was going to play Rocky, or there was going to be no movie. And finally they agreed, but with a catch. The budget would just be $1.1 million. Stallone would receive only $25,000 for both writing and starring in. Less than 7% of the $360,000 he'd been offered for the script. But Stallone didn't care about the money. He cared about the chance. He accepted, betting everything on himself, just like Rocky would. And the first thing Stallone did after selling Rocky wasn't celebrating. It was finding big.His. With $25,000, the most money he'd ever had, Stallone went back to the liquor store where he sold the dog. For 3 days he waited outside hoping to see little Jimmy. And on the third day, little Jimmy appeared, walking with Butkus. Stallone explained what had happened. He sold the dog out of desperation, but now he sold a movie script and wanted Butkus back. And little Jimmy refused. His children had already grown attached, he said. Stallone offered $100. Refused. $500. Refused. $1,000. Still refused. And according to Stallone, he wanted to fight me and said he was gonna kill me. He was a crazy little person. But Stallone wasn't leaving without his dog. Finally, after persistent begging, Stallone paid $15,000, more than half of everything he'd earned from Rocky, to buy back the same dog he sold for $40. He was worth every single penny, Stallone said. The first thing I said was, "You're going to be in the movie." And he was. Butkus appeared in both Rocky 1976 and Rocky II 1979. His name in the credits as Butkus Stallone, featured in iconic scenes including Rocky feeding him and running through Philadelphia. Production on Rocky began in January 1976. The entire film was shot in just 28 days, on a tiny little budget. Director John G. Avildsen brought a gritty, realistic sensibility. The cast included Talia Shire as Adrian, Burt Young as Polly, Carl Weathers as Apollo Creed, and Burgess Meredith as Mickey. Filming took place in Philadelphia using real locations. The famous training montage with Rocky running up the Philadelphia Museum of Art steps was shot guerrilla style with a handheld camera. Locals gathered to watch, not realizing they were witnessing cinema history. Bill Conti composed the score, including Gonna Fly now one of the most recognizable themes ever. And Rocky premiered on December 3rd, 1976, but just in a few New York theaters. Nobody expected what happened next. Within weeks, word of mouth turned Rocky into a phenomenon. Audiences connected with this working class man who got one shot to prove he wasn't just another bum from the neighborhood. The film resonated during America's bicentennial year, representing hope and the idea that anyone could achieve greatness through determination. Rocky grossed over $225 million worldwide on just $1.1 million budget, a return of over 20,000%. It became the highest grossing film of 1976. At the 49th Academy Awards on March 28, 1977, Rocky received 10 nominations and won 3 Oscars: Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Film Editing. Stallone didn't win Best Actor or Best Original Screenplay, but that didn't matter. The 30-year-old who'd been sleeping in a bus station 2 years earlier was now the star and writer of the Best Picture winner. Producer Irwin Winkler thanks Sylvester Stallone, who wouldn't take no for an answer. The man that was told he was suited to only run a sorting machine had created one of the most beloved films in American cinema. Following Rocky's success, Stallone became one of Hollywood's hottest stars. In 1979, he wrote, directed, and starred in Rocky II, which grossed $200 million worldwide. On May 12, 1976, Stallone and Sasha welcomed their first son, Sage Moonblood Stallone. Tragically, Sage died in 2012 at age 36 from heart disease. In 1979, they had a second son, Sergio, who was diagnosed with autism. In 1982, Stallone introduced another legendary character, John Rambo, in First Blood. The troubled Vietnam veteran pushed to his limits by society, another underdog Stallone understood intimately, became a massive success. Throughout the 1980s, Stallone alternated between the Rocky and Rambo franchises. He wrote, directed, and starred in Rocky III, 1982, and Rocky IV, 1985. With the latter becoming the highest grossing sports film until 2018. Stallone and Sasha divorced on February 14, 1985. He married model Bridget Nelson on December 15, 1985, but they divorced in 1987. In 1984, Stallone received a Hollywood Walk of Fame star. Butkus, who appeared in the first 2 Rocky films, passed away in 1981. In a 2017 Instagram post, Stallone shared a photo and he wrote, "When I was 26, totally broke, going nowhere very fast, owned 2 pairs of pants that I barely could fit.
But I had my dog, big.His, my best friend, who always laughed at my jokes and was the one living thing that loved me for who I was. After a career slump in the 1990s, Stallone had a major resurgence. In 2006, he wrote, directed, and starred in Rocky Balboa, which grossed $155 million and gave Rocky a dignified conclusion. In 2010, Stallone's The Expendables opened #1 with $35 million, making him the only actor in history to have films open at #1 across 5 consecutive decades, in the 1970s and 2010s. With later films, he extended this to 6 decades. But the greatest validation came in 2015 with Creed, directed by Ryan Coogler and starring Michael B. Jordan as Apollo Creed's son. Stallone's reprised Rocky as a trainer and mentor. The film was a critical triumph. For his performance, Stallone won the Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actor, his first major acting award in nearly 40 years, and received his 3rd Oscar nomination at age 69. In 1997, Stallone married Jennifer Flavin. They have 3 daughters, Sophia Rose, 1996, Sistine Rose, 1998, and Scarlett Rose, 2002. The couple briefly filed for divorce in August 2022, but reconciled just a month later. As of 2025, at 78 years old, Stallone's films have grossed over $7.5 billion worldwide. He's one of only 2 actors with Harrison Ford to star in #1 films across 6 consecutive decades. Rocky was inducted into the National Film Registry as culturally significant, and the Rocky Steps at the Philadelphia Museum of Art are now a major tourist attraction. In August 2025, President Trump announced Stallone would receive a Kennedy Center honor for lifetime artistic achievement. Stallone has never shied from telling the story about big.His. In 2017, he posted, "When things got even worse, I had to sell him for $40 in front of a 7-Eleven store because I couldn't afford food. Then, like a modern-day miracle, the screenplay for Rocky sold, and I could buy him back. But the new owner knew I was desperate and charged me $15,000. He was worth every single penny." His philosophy has always been about perseverance. "I believe there's an inner power that makes winners or losers," he said. "And the winners are the ones who really listen to the truth of their hearts." Today, Sylvester Stallone stands as proof that your circumstances don't define your destiny. From a baby born with a severed nerve to a bullied child voted most likely to end up in the electric chair. From a homeless actor who sold his dog for $40 to a 3-time Academy Award nominee and cultural icon. Stallone's story proves that stubborn belief in yourself can overcome any obstacle. He was told he couldn't act because of his speech, and he proved him wrong. He was told to sell his script and let a real star play Rocky. He refused. He was told he'd never make it, and he became one of the biggest stars in history. The man who once had $106 in his bank account and slept in a bus station earned billions at the box office and created characters that will live forever. But more importantly, he showed millions worldwide that it doesn't matter where you start. It matters that you never stop fighting. Rocky's famous words could be Stallone's motto. "It ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done." Sylvester Stallone got hit harder than most, and he never stopped moving forward.